This is Ramalinga Prasad Kuppa. Welcome to my channel, Pharma World. Today's topic is drafting a BPCR in an effective and scientific way. BPCR is a batch production and control record, which is also called as batch production record. This is a very important document for establishing the fact whether or not the product was manufactured as per the instructions and conditions. BPCR is specific to a product, to a specific batch number, which should not be interchanged when once issued for a particular product and batch number. What is BPCR? BPCR is a record for a particular process, product, and batch number. Let us understand the intent of a BPCR. This is also called as BPR. This should be used for specific product and specific batch number only. Even by chance, if the same batch is cancelled for taking up the production, it should be returned to the issuer. Mostly it will be the BPR issue section of QA department. It is heart and soul of the entire process. It is very critical part of the process, like heart and soul. Without heart and soul, there is no sanctity to the product or its quality. BPCR is a calendar of events from start to finish of the process. It is total calendar of events from inception to birth of the product. It starts with dispensing of raw materials through processing necessary steps to reach the final marketable stage. Calendar of events include who, what, when, why of the process. The event should be audit-trailable to answer all the questions of who, what, when, and why. For any step, who did it, what was done, when was it done, and why was it done should be answered. This is precisely called audit trail. Identification for each aspect should be clear. Who can be identified by the signature of the doer and checker. The signature should be uniform in all places and allow to identify the person. There should be a separate register to identify the name of the person with the employee code and the typical signature. This is similar to the checking of a signature on a check of any bank with the original. Before the digital payment era, banks used to verify the person that way only. What is checked with the process step? When is identified with the time of operation from and to of each operation? Why is identified by the intent of the operating step. BPCR is a history of the product and batch number. This is the live video of the process to achieve the quality product. BPCR is a customer regulatory agency negotiable document. It is the major responsibility to submit for any review by the customer or any regulatory agency during audit process. The BPCR also has to be submitted for regulatory filing. The BPCR is initiated after establishing the product at benchtop level, that is gram level at R&D. Let us see the important steps on how BPCR is initiated or drafted. The actual birth of the product chemistry is in the development laboratory, that is the R&D. They carry out several trials to freeze the process for the product. It is done in a small gram scale. The R&D establishes the following: the detailed synthetic process along with critical process parameters CPP and critical quality attributes CQA. During development, the R&D establishes the detailed process steps along with CPP and CQA. Details of raw materials required along with specifications. Detailed specifications for all input materials, including starting materials, should be provided. At least one specific identity test has to be provided in the specifications. For all starting materials and key materials, there should be specifications for impurities with justification. Details of primary packaging scheme along with specifications. Based on the chemical characteristics of the product and its compatibility with the product, primary packaging and secondary packaging schemes should be provided. The packaging material should protect the product from deterioration. The in-process checks requirements and the acceptance criteria. Necessary in-process checks, test methods and its specifications have to be provided by R&D. The intermediates test requirements. Test methods specifications should be available for all isolated intermediates that need to be used for the next stage of the process. The cleaning procedures. Detailed cleaning procedures, including the detergents or solvents for each step of the process, should be provided. The packaging procedures and the storage conditions. The packaging procedures should be focused to include any requirements of inert atmosphere by a nitrogen blanket or any requirements to insert a silica gel bag to control accidental ingress of the moisture. Storage conditions should include storage temperature and humidity conditions. Specific conditions should be given with respect to the temperature at which the product should be stored. Where it is considered that usage at a lower or higher temperature may produce undesirable results. The storage conditions are defined as store in a dry, well-ventilated place at a temperature not exceeding 30 degrees centigrade, or store in a refrigerator between 2 and 8 degrees, store in a freezer between -2 and -18 degrees, store in a deep freezer below -18 degrees. Storage conditions not related to temperature are indicated in the following terms. Store protected from light. Store protected from light and moisture. When no specific storage directions or limitations are given in the monograph or by the manufacturer, it is to be understood that the storage conditions include protection from moisture, freezing and excessive heat. That is any temperature above 40 degrees Celsius. The room temperature as per USP is 25 degrees Celsius. The product label should definitely have the numerical number of storage temperature. Statements like store at ambient temperature cannot be considered as specific and not acceptable. The stability study conditions have to be provided. Depending upon the product characteristics, accelerated, long-term and intermediate conditions have to be provided. The conditions should be based on the recommendations of ICH Q1AR2 guideline. Dirty hold time and clean hold times also should be provided. So DHT and CHT should be provided by R&D. Analytical methods and validations. If compendial methods are used, they may have to be verified as per USP 1226 chapter. If it is an in-house analytical method, the method validation guidance should be provided by the analytical R&D. safety data if appropriate. Safety precautions while handling materials should be provided wherever necessary. Let us see how technology transfer is done. The entire data has to be captured in a document called technology transfer document with all raw data. This is a very important step. The technology transfer data should be captured into a scalable project by R&D. Without a proper and comprehensive technology transfer document with all the details as discussed so far, it is not recommended to go to commercial scale. This is also not acceptable by any regulatory agency without a technology transfer document. In coming up video training programs, we will discuss more intricate details of technology transfer document. The R&D data is reviewed and scaled up to the commercial manufacturing using the Master BPCR. Based on the data, a Master BPCR should be drafted. Mapping of equipment, including utilities for suitability of scale-up of the laboratory process to commercial scale. Mapping is the activity to translate the gram lab scale into kilo scale. Suitable equipment selection is a part of the equipment mapping. Depending upon the turnaround volumes, heating and cooling cycles, the equipment selection and supporting utility services should be done. Process dynamics, heating and cooling cycles, process materials, addition times, stirring times, etc. will be established during mapping of equipment. Process dynamics include the actual timings that are required for commercial scale should be captured at this point. Addition times, mixing times, heating and cooling times, rate of heating and cooling, drying times, etc. will be different from a lab scale to a commercial scale. Equipment mapping considers the supporting utilities like steam, cooling systems, RT, cool, cold, etc. Mapping for utilities is also very important to focus. Process dynamics always depend on these factors. They will have significant impact on the process and the good quality output. Scale up from laboratory stage to commercial stage may sometimes be accomplished by an intermediate kilo lab stage or pilot plant stage. Sometimes it may be necessary to take an intermediate kilo lab scale, which is also can be done by a pilot plant scale. The kilo lab experiments or pilot plant batches will provide significant knowledge for the commercial scale manufacturing. The data from these studies would support the higher volumes significantly. Let us see how the Master BPCR is drafted. After successful mapping of the equipment, the Master BPCR will be initiated. The Master BPCR should contain the following: the name of the product. So the name of the product is written here. Code if applicable. Some products will have a code also. So in this you have to give the code, document number along with version number. Document number along with version number is important to check whether or not the document is current version. Date effective, provision to record the batch number. There should be a clear space to record the batch number, and any safety precautions that are required for the operator to follow on the shop floor. List of equipment. The equipment train list should be captured here. If there are alternate equipment trains, that also should be captured here. List of raw materials. This list of raw materials should include specification number and unit of measure. Here the specification number is considered as current version. List of processing aids like filter bags, cartridges, etc. along with its micron size, porosity. List of packaging materials. This list of packaging materials should include the primary packaging, the secondary packaging, seals, inserts, etc. Detailed stepwise processing instructions and the time taken for each step. Detailed, clear process steps without any ambiguity should be provided here. The instructions for in-process control with their limits. Any specific instructions for in-process sampling should be provided here. The requirements for storage conditions of the products, including the container labeling and special storage conditions where applicable. The storage conditions on the label, if any special conditions are required, should be written here. Any special precautions to be observed during the processing step, during addition times, or during unloading or drying should be written here. There should be provision of GMP requirements to record if there were any deviations, breakdowns, equipment delays, swap, out of specifications, etc. There should be a provision to record the deviation number or OIS number, etc. at this point. All pages of the BPCR have to be unambiguously and serially numbered as 1 of n, 2 of n, 3 of n, etc. till n of n. Never paginate as 1, 2, 3, etc. We do not know how many pages actually are there in the BPCR. This system of numbering monitors the total number of pages also. How to draft a Master BPCR? Hydraulics, Volume 4, Part 1, Chapter 4, Section 4.4 prescribes documents containing instructions should be laid out in an orderly fashion and be easy to check. The style and language of the document should fit with their intended use. Standard operating procedures, work instructions, and methods should be written in an imperative, mandatory style. This is important to note. Imperative means any sentence that starts with a verb. It's like a command, order. Mandatory means it should be done the way it is instructed without fail or any excuses. For example, a statement 100 kilos of material shall be charged into the reactor may be rephrased as charge 100 kilos of material into the reactor. This is how you have to write an imperative sentence. Keep sentences in a simple way. Don't write complex sentences or compound sentences. Keep simple sentences. Write more sentences for complex and compound sentences. By a couple of practices, it could be done easily. Hydraulics, Volume 4, Part 1, Chapter 4, Section 4.4 prescribes documents should not be handwritten, although where the documents require the entry of data, sufficient space should be provided for such entries. So it is also clear that a BPR or BPCR cannot be written in a handwritten way. It should be in a printed way, and only there should be a provision to enter the data, and there should be sufficient space to record the data. Each operation should have a link for detailed stepwise procedure. This is important step. There should be a reference number of SOP for each operation. The reference number should refer to another detailed SOP for operation. Some examples include operation of centrifuge, operation of tray dryer or a rotocone dryer, operation of notch filter, heating cooling procedures, distillation, recovery procedures, etc. For operating all these equipment and similar other complex equipment, there should be detailed SOPs because all intricate details of the operation of these equipment cannot be provided in the BPCR directly and fully. Necessary contingency steps should be provided if the process takes more than one step operations. For contingent operations, there should be provision in the BPCR. Some examples include adjustment of target pH, checking the wetness or water content of the product during drying process, reaction completion by TLC or HPLC or any other control tests, racemization of enantiomers, D or L, etc. For all these kind of adjustments, you need more than one step. So there should be a contingency step provided in the BPCR to record number of times for adjustment. Let us see how the issue of BPCR for manufacturing activity is controlled. The issue of BPCR for routine usage for a particular batch has to be controlled. There are several ways of controlling this activity. Few are photocopying the master and assign the batch number. Here, check the previous batch number before issue of the next sequential number. Take electronic printout of the master where there is a provision to record the activity and does not alter the process steps parameters. In such cases, there will be automatic control of batch numbering. This is how the BPCR issue should be handled. I hope that you understood the requirements and strategy to develop a BPCR. Please note that the BPCR should provide a video shoot of the entire process. All the details should be in a sequence as the process moves forward. Thanks for watching. For more videos, please do subscribe, like and share. Thank you.